Bet the Breeders' Cup with the DRF app. The Daily Racing Form app is a highly rated, powerful tool that makes handicapping and wagering fast and easy, putting you in position to win big at the races. Register today to double your first deposit up to $250. Get the DRF app now. Hi, everybody. Dan Illman, Mike Beer. Race number 11 at Keeneland on Breeders' Cup Saturday is the Breeders' Cup Turf. Let's take a peek at this field. It's obviously a grade 1 and it's worth $4 million. Magical, the number 2, has had a magical career for Aidan O'Brien. I believe she's won 7 Group 1 races and was second to a real superstar, Enable, in her only other North American start, the 2018 Breeders' Cup Turf. Looking at her recent form, Mike, she looks like the one to beat.
It does look like she's as good as ever as a 5-year-old, Dan. They were talking about retiring her at the end of last year, but they brought her back, and she's rewarded them. 3 Group 1 wins already this year.
With all these European runners in the race, we don't have a time form U.S. pace projector for you, but if Channel Maker breaks, you got to think the Channel Maker is going to go right to the front. Those are the tactics that propelled him to 2 giant figure wins in his last 2 starts. And I have a feeling United will be pretty close to the pace as well. He's very tactical.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens. Channel Maker, it feels like it's imperative for him to get to the front in this race, Dan, and just see if he can keep his form together. He's running the Breeders' Cup Turf the last 2 years. Couldn't make the lead either time and was nowhere either time. He needs to be on the front.
Arklo's had a really nice career for Brad Cox. He's almost banked $2.5 million, but it looked like perhaps he was going a bit off form. And Brad put blinkers on in the Kentucky Turf Cup last time out, and we were like, is it a sign of desperation? Is he don't know what to do? He knows what to do. Let's watch the Kentucky Turf Cup. Arklo back to his best form. He's on the outside in the green. He's going to forge to the front, passing the quarter pole, and he's going to beat a good field. Red Knight is a very underrated distance horse. Zulu Alpha, who unfortunately is going to miss the Breeders' Cup this year, has had a big season. But Arklo occasionally runs these big races, Mike, and with the blinkers, maybe he can get a little bit closer to the pace.
Yeah, I liked this win from him. I felt like he really took a step forward with the blinkers on and won that race pretty convincingly after getting up close to the pace. Then obviously this is going to be tougher. He's facing better horses here. The Europeans feel like they didn't show up really in force last year, but I think they sent a good group over this year. So Arklo's going to have to do better than that. But you know what? He was pretty good last year. It felt like last year he was just starting to find himself. And maybe he got back on track last time. I think he's pretty interested in here.
The 2 is Magical, and I love the way Magical was ridden in the Irish Champion Stakes 2 starts back. They put her right on the early leader's hip, and they didn't let that horse get away, and Magical was just too good in the final 16th of a mile. Now, last time out in the Champion Stakes at Ascot, she was in behind horses turning into the, well, pretty much late in the straight. To be honest with you, when she was clear, I didn't think she had that strong run. Basically saying, I don't think she was winning with a clear trip that day. Do you agree?
I do agree. She didn't run poorly in there, but I do agree with you there. Once she got clear, she didn't really fire that hard. Listen, she's just really good, and I don't really have that much to say about her. I am, you know me, Dan. I can be stupid, so I'm going to say something stupid right now. But I feel like maybe 1.5 miles isn't her best distance. I think she might be a little better going shorter than this. They've run her, and I say that realizing that she ran great in this race as a 3-year-old, and that they've run her 5 times at 1.5 miles, and in almost every one of those races, she's run against Enable. So it's pretty hard to judge. But I think she's a little better going shorter. Agree or disagree?
I think it's a fair enough point because she has run so well at 1.25 miles. I'm not going to count her out at 1.5 miles, but anytime you can find a hole at a horse that's going to be a short price, make the most of it and try to find value elsewhere. The 3 is Tarnawa, Mike, and Tarnawa likes 1.5 miles. You don't have to worry about that. Her last 2 races in France have been very, very good. Let's watch the prestigious Prix de l'Opera last time out. She made this mid-move before they came into the straight, and now she's in behind horses in cover with the green cap. And then once she gets to the outside, she just kicks it into high gear. She's seeing dead red right now, and she's trained by a great horseman in Dermot Weld.
Yeah, true enough. Really, really good form coming into this race. This race here, which is a really impressive win running down Alpine Star, who's a really nice horse in her own right. This race was at 1.25 miles too, Dan. She might be even better at 1.5 miles, which she showed 2 starts back. She's now won each of her last 3 starts at 1.5 miles. And it just feels like she's getting better all the time. To me, she's a super dangerous horse in here.
John Gosden always has to be respected with any European import he brings over. Lasix on the 4, Medaille. This horse, a Group 2 winner last year, is yet to find her best form in 2020. Only 2 starts, however. The Prince of Wales was a tough spot off of the layoff. Last time out in the Champions Filly and Mare Stakes, she just didn't break very well. I think it's a really confident move that they're putting her here. I think they want Lasix. I think they want firm ground. They're getting one of the two at least.
I agree. And I do feel like she could be dangerous here, Dan, because you're right that she was pretty good last year. And for whatever reason, she just has not been able to get started as a 4-year-old. So whatever improvement they were expecting, I mean, she hasn't really been able to show it yet. For them just to even come over here and run in this race is probably a good sign.
Donja, the number 5, is a long-distance horse, to be sure. All those German breds are very stout, and 1.5 miles is no issue for her. But as we've said many times on these programs, when analyzing European racing, I think you look to France first, England and Ireland tied for second, and then Italy and Germany perhaps behind there. So Donja is going to be taking a big step up in class.
Yeah, it does feel like she is. I mean, her form is actually okay, and the distance is no problem. But it feels like the Europeans, especially the ones drawn to her inside, might be pretty tough for her to deal with.
Lord North won the Prince of Wales 3 starts back at 1.25 miles. They're going to test him now, going 1.5 miles for Gosden. Frankie Dettori takes the mount here. They ran this horse in the Champion Stakes last time out, and perhaps it was the soft ground that day. It's tough to take a horse in a Breeders' Cup race just coming off a running line like that, though.
He didn't run well in that race. If I'm being honest, I didn't love his Juddmonte International prior to that either. To me, that was a really good field, Dan. But it just felt to me like that race sort of exposed him maybe as something a little bit less than the top horses over there, because he had a really good trip. He was right there in contention in the stretch, and he just wasn't good enough at the end. And now you have to add in the added distance of this race, which he's not a cinch to get. I feel like there's a lot working against him in here.
United was second in this race last year, and he is, a head away from being perfect from 5 starts in 2020. He's a very underrated horse. He got a great triple ride last time out in the John Henry Turf Championship. Let's watch that race going 1.25 miles. He just got right to the front, and no one was really interested in going after him. And he sprints clear here at the 3/16 pole, and he's going to win with something to spare, a co-career best buyer speed figure of 103. He is a very adaptable sort. I expect him to be sitting off of English Channel early. And if English Channel doesn't fire, United might be in front turning into the stretch.
Yeah, that's true. And listen, he ran well in this race last year. And, not to take anything away from bricks and mortar, but that, this wasn't as strong a race last year. I didn't think anyway. I think it's going to be tougher this year. And then you also have to add in the fact that they're going to ship him out of Southern California for the first time in over 2 years. So we'll see how he handles that.
The horse that beat United this year is up next. That's the number 8, Red King, claimed for $35,000 in 2019. He's now a multiple graded stakes winner, and he likes distance. He won the Del Mar Handicap, the race we're going to show right now. I like the mid-race move he made to get into contention, Mike, and when they turn into the stretch, he's got the lead. United's going to battle with him, but Red King's got the momentum, and Red King's going to stave off United's late kick.
Yeah, this is a quality win for this horse, who has really improved since he's been claimed. Phil D'Amato's done a great job with him. Distance is no problem. He's obviously taken a huge step up in class here, but he's taken the step up at the right time. His last couple races are good.
Just when we were getting ready to hand over the gold watch to Channel Maker and pat him on the back and say, enjoy your retirement. You've had a wonderful career, but you're obviously past your prime. He comes back and he wins 2 Grade 1 races in New York with buyer speed figures of 108. Let's watch the Joe Hirsch Turf Classic. He's won this race twice now, and he goes right to the front, and he just keeps on going. And before this race, maybe we were thinking, well, the sword dancer, he loves soft ground, and he got that sort of ground. Well, he got firm ground in the Joe Hirsch, and he was just too good for these horses.
Yeah, it wasn't even close in here. I mean, he just went to the front and he just kept improving his position. I was certainly one of the people who thought that the soft ground had everything to do with the sword dancer win, but he proved me wrong last time. They will try to put him on the front again, and we'll just see if he can have better success in this race this time, because as already mentioned, the last 2 times they ran him in the Breeders' Cup Turf, it was pretty ugly.
Let's take a look at our top selections for the Breeders' Cup Turf. Mogul, the number 10, is where I'm going. I think early in his career, this horse was just a little bit of a disappointment, and maybe he's reaching peak maturity towards the end of his 3-year-old season for Aidan O'Brien, getting Lasix for the first time. Maybe that Group 1 last time out was not the strongest field in the world. I love the acceleration he showed. He got a very good trip in that race. He saved ground. He shot on through the inside in the straight. Then he eased outside the pace setter, and he just whisked right by that horse. I like the turn of foot he showed that day, Mike.
We're in agreement. I have him second. I thought about putting him on top just on the strength of that race last time, because it just felt like he took a big step forward. Perfect trip or not, it felt like he took a big step forward. And as a 3-year-old, you just sort of feel like for these connections, he's probably going to keep getting better at this stage of the game. I ultimately sided with the filly Tarnawa. I've just been very taken with her most recent efforts, Dan. Her last 3 races are very good, and I know that she likes 1.5 miles. So I went that way, but I certainly respect Mogul.
And you certainly have to respect Magical, who we, of course, have in our top selections as well. 3, 10, 2, and 1 for Mike. 10, 2, 9, and 3 for me. It's going to be a magical Breeders' Cup Saturday. We'll see if she can go one better than the 2018 edition when she was second to the fantastic Enable.
Bet the Breeders' Cup with the DRF app. The Daily Racing Form app is a highly rated, powerful tool that makes handicapping and wagering fast and easy, putting you in position to win big at the races. Register today to double your first deposit up to $250. Get the DRF app now.